Yeah, it'll, we're gonna take about probably 20, 30 minutes maybe.
No problem. No problem.
But we're gonna edit pretty much the whole thing.
I understand.
Cut it down to probably 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I understand.
It's filming right now. So, you can just, keep, this angle is good.
This angle's good. Okay.
And, well, thank you for joining with us. And, tell me, first of all, where you originally from, Peter?
Canada.
Canada, really?
Canada.
Okay. What part of Canada?
Windsor. Born in Windsor.
Oh.
Stayed in Calgary for a few years, and then we moved to Arizona.
Because of your parents' business, or?
Parents' business. My grandfather spoke 18 languages.
Oh.
And opened up almost every Ford dealership for Henry Ford in Europe.
Really? Wow.
And then they became partners in the golf course business. Mm-hmm. And that's what brought us to Arizona. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For instance, Sun City right now, there's one golf course for every 1,700 people.
Wow. Wow.
So golf courses was the reason we came to Arizona.
And what brought you, get in this business?
Well, my father was into horses, so we had a horse ranch here. And as I was a youngster growing up, the best thing for a horse's back is a Navajo blanket. So as I traveled the reservations, I would pick these rugs up and bring them back to him. So it was an automatic sale. I could make a couple dollars on every blanket that I brought to Dad. Along with the fact that by trading with them with blankets, one thing leads to the next, and that's how we got started building the jewelry.
Okay. So you got to know all the people in the tribes.
In the tribes, primarily because as a youngster, I rodeoed, and that was rode bulls, bareback horses. I did almost every rough stock event there was. And because every village has a little rodeo every year, there was years that I would go to 300 rodeos in a year.
Yeah, Arizona.
In Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, primarily where the Navajo reservation is. The Navajo reservation is the largest reservation in the United States. It almost runs from Albuquerque all the way to Flagstaff on both sides of I-40.
Okay.
So because of that, I was with them constantly. And some of the best artists in the industry were my best friends. They did the same thing as I did. They participated in the rodeos. And that's pretty much how we got started.
Okay, so rodeo is primarily the reason.
Was the function, that the wheel that got the ball rolling.
Okay.
And
how long you been in this business?
Actually, my first trade is when I was 12 years old. So you're going back 55 plus years.
Wow.
And the upside to it is we've primarily tried to stay with the handmade goods, and a lot of this business has been fraudulently products made fraudulently, whether it's non-Indian, whether it's not turquoise. And I can tell you a story. You may want to edit this out, but in the late 70s, I had 250 people working for me, building a line of only 75 items. And to buy from me in those days, you had to buy them by the bag of 100. We didn't sell one ring. We sold hundreds. The market was so strong that we were then copied. And instead of the people using sterling silver, they used pot metal. and then they chrome plated it like you would a car bumper. And the turquoise and the coral that they used was dyed macaroni. When that hit the market, rings that we were selling to Lenny LaBelle, Sears and Roebuck's, J.C. Penney's for $17 to $22 hit the market 3 for $10 at the outdoor markets. Most stores wouldn't handle them because they weren't sterling. Well, when you got 250 people working for you and all your big players drop you like a hot potato, they don't want to be associated with that type of product. At that time, we agreed that we were never going to do anything but totally hand-fabricated products, which eliminates anybody from being able to knock you off in any big number. So that's kind of the story to our success, is 1, using the best turquoise, 2, using what we feel are some of the best artists in the industry. And one thing that makes this business so unique is there's never 2 pieces that are the same. No matter how you try to cut this stone, you're not going to, because it's handmade, there's always going to be some little mistake in there. It's not a machine-made piece. So because of that, a size 7 ring isn't going to look like a size 5 ring. There's a number of reasons for that. The top has to be just a little bit smaller to fit that hand correctly. You can't do that with a machine-made part. A machine-made part is always the same, no matter what.
So that's the most fascinating part of turquoise, right?
There's a lot of things that's fascinating about turquoise. 1, the shortage. We are in a shortage like we've never had before. One of the reasons is the Sleeping Beauty mine closed. That's one of the biggest manufacturers of stones. The reason they like that is every stone was exactly the same. You could take a picture of one piece, put it in a catalog, or put it on TV, and it looked identical, just like a refrigerator that Sears might sell out of their catalog. That is unique to the point that there's 300 other mines in the United States that produce turquoise, but they're not clear. Sleeping Beauty was clear. There was no imperfections. In America, people like to see the imperfection. In fact, the more imperfection, the more valuable the stone, because of the uniqueness of it. You may never find another stone like that. Just days ago, I spent $585 American dollars to buy 5 stones this size. I wish I could find them to show you, because of the uniqueness of them. Turquoise is somewhat like a diamond. You can buy a 1-carat diamond from Walmart or any department store similar to that for $1,000. Maybe add $200 for the ring. Or you can also buy a 1-carat diamond for $35,000. That's perfect. Turquoise is the same. The more unique the turquoise is, the more valuable it is. The harder turquoise is, the more valuable it is. And turquoise can become almost as hard as a diamond, or what we see happening is turquoise is coming in from all over the world, and some of this turquoise is softer than what you'll find normally in the southwest of the U.S. And you'll find that some of these turquoises, they're turquoise, but they're enhanced one way or another, whether it's with resins or whether it's with, they call it enhancing, and that's the same thing they would do with any precious stone. They enhance it. Even today they make diamonds in a machine. And if they test diamond, they look like a diamond. The only problem is is they're perfect. And if they're perfect, and you don't buy a perfect diamond for $500, no matter what size it is. So,
okay. So, you get turquoise from all over.
we've always bought almost directly from the miners. Whether it's a small mine in Nevada that only produces 500 pounds a year, or whether it's one of the big mines in Arizona that produce hundreds of pounds a day. And when I say 100 pounds a day, when you're supplying a world market, that's not very much material. That is not very much material. This year at the Tucson Gem Show, which I believe is the third largest mineral show in the world, I think Hong Kong being number one, number two being Germany, and number three now being Tucson, Arizona. And the shortage of turquoise there was so bad that friends of mine that are the miners and the processors of this material were selling out. And the latter part of the show, the material that everybody wanted was not available anymore. And that's this type material here. Everybody wants the bigger material. Everybody wants the blue, whether it has the matrix in it or not. They want the blue. And this material right here is very clear. This actually is going out of the country as soon as through filming this. But this is something that probably a lot of you don't know, is how a stone ends up getting this look. And this is a look that is a Southwest look for jewelry. Very popular for the last 50 years. This stone here is how we would get this look, is we skin this stone. So you keep the rough edge. Once you're through, now you have this clear. And then this is what you'll see in Zuni jewelry. We'll skin this for the Navajo look, and the inside we will then use for inlay, or the smooth stones. And I'm sure that we'll show you pictures of the difference of the nugget stone, which is this look, and the smooth stone, which would be the inside of the meat.
And since you mentioned about Navajo, Zuni, could you, give us a little idea of those tribes?
This is pretty much how that works. In a brief sentence, the Navajos build the silver around the stone. The Zunis build the silver and cut the stone to fit the slot. The two primary differences. It's not saying that Zunis don't make similar jewelry that Navajos do, and it's not saying that Navajos don't do the same. But traditionally, the stones that the Zunis will use is they'll build the silver and then cut the stone to fit the slot. The Navajos take the stone, such as this piece here, and he has now built the silver around the stone. Those are the two primary differences. The other major Southwest tribe is Hopi. They use no turquoise at all for centuries. Now, for economics, for the last 10, 15 years, you will start seeing some Hopis adding a piece of turquoise here or there to their pieces. Normally, it's the better artists that will do that because it's economics. People want to see turquoise. If they don't have turquoise in their piece, it doesn't sell as good.
Do you carry artists in house?
We have, and depending on the time of the year, between 15 and 25 silversmiths in-house. And we buy from another we've bought up to over 1,500 that are on file. Some of those have passed away, and this is in the last 10 years. One of the things that's so bad with the native people is they have real health problems because of what we brought here from all over the world, because they don't have an immunity. You figure that we've only been here 100 years, and they haven't adapted to all of the, America is a place where everybody's welcome. Because of that, everybody has different the word I'm looking for is immunities. And they don't have that. I mean, they were completely natural. And here's something that you'll probably want to edit. You give an Indian a beer and he is totally whacked out. But you give him a marijuana cigarette and he can smoke it like you would smoke a Marlboro. Doesn't affect him at all, because they're used to the natural. The same thing with the peyote. If you or I was to do peyote, we would hallucinate. We would be all flipped out. That's, they have done so many of the natural plants because of being on the reservations that, and that's what they still use in their ceremonies today. And maybe it just enhances it as much as we would be smoking a cigarette, a social event. So let's have some peyote. But if any other people was to use that, it would make them, they would be all drugged out. But alcohol does the same thing to them. And because of the different foods that have come to the reservation that they never ate before, the greases and the oils and fast foods, it's bad for everybody, and it's worse for them because they've just never experienced that. It's just not. It hasn't been. It's going to take another 500 years for them to adapt to that. So some of them are extremely good artists. Jimmy Yellowhair, for instance, and Robert Yellowhair. Here's some boys that I grew up with. That Robert Yellowhair's been to the White House many times on displaying his product. He has been all over the world on display on runs. Teddy Draper, that bunch have went to Germany, went to Japan, went to China, and sponsored by the U.S. government, so that they went around the world showing their products and wares. And a funny story, we were going to the Denver rodeo, and I was picking up Robert's nephew to go with me. And the Denver rodeo is one of the largest rodeos in the U.S. It's the beginning of the year. So if you're talking like sports, that's the first baseball game of the year. It's the first rodeo of the year. That counts. So I was picking his nephew up, and as we were walking out, he handed me 2 suitcases full of jewelry, because at Denver is the Denver Mart, which is like Houston and New York. It's just a big place that people buy product. He said, "No, will you sell this for me, but don't let Bert have the suitcases, because he won't pay me. He won't give me the money." This was one of the first times that I really changed my mind on this industry, because I sold his product out in about 15 minutes. As soon as I opened the cases, it was over 60,000. Sold about, and I just walked into the mart and said, "Is there a table I can use?" Didn't rent a space, just dummy me, just opened up, and people just flocked me. And I said, selling 1 or 2 pieces of this at a time, I was about 18 then. Maybe there's more to this. By the time I was 22, I had 250 people working for me. So that was kind of the beginning of this. Okay. And what's made it easy for me is knowing all these people, living with them. And I've got doctors and lawyers that actually silversmith for me. And I ask them why they do it, and it's to keep their heritage alive. I also have silversmiths that live 20 and 30 miles off a paved road and live in a dirt hut. And because of the primitive way we still do it with a torch and hand files, everything is hand sawed out from where. This is the tool that we use to saw. You probably won't even be able to see the blade, but it's about as thin as a piece of hair is what we saw the pieces out with, and to design the leaves and feathers and so forth. So later on I'll have somebody show you, but for instance this bracelet here actually will be this bracelet here, and how these leaves are cut out, the patterns that we use. One of the things that I have done since the beginning of time is every time an old timer has went out of business, we have went to them and asked them if we could buy their tools, and that would be their stamps. Most of these stamps are all handmade, they're not machine-made stamps. We would for instance, one of the largest distributors of supplies in the industry was Indian Jewelry Supply out of Gallup, New Mexico. Unfortunately, the owner had given the business to his employees. They had hired an accountant that suggested that they do a retirement plan. Because of that, having to put so much money away for future retirement, the company went bankrupt. And we just recently bought all their tools. We bought 80% of them. It was at auction. So sad to see a company that's been around for 50 years go south because of mismanagement. And Woodard was at the auction. It was just sick to see some of the reposes, and that's an item that we use to a female and a male piece of steel that puts a pattern in something. But some of those were handmade, and today to reproduce them might cost $5,000-$10,000. We're selling for $20 and $30. And I mean, I bought tables of stuff for peanuts. Sad to see that go down, but good for us. Good for us.
Well, one last question. I know you've been in this business for such a long time. And could you tell us about the love about this, fabulous Indian jewelry, and what really get you going on?
Either you like it or you don't like it. This is something that I have preached forever. And if you buy a diamond ring or a piece of jewelry like that, for the most part, you'll enjoy it, but you'll probably never, ever be able to get your money back. One thing that I've experienced with native jewelry is what somebody bought from me 20 years ago, I'll happily double what they paid for it. Happily buy it back for double. And I think that a lot of the industry would do the same thing. And there's a number of reasons for that. One, the uniqueness of the stone that was available 20, 30, and 40 years ago. Jewelry that you'll see that's 50, 60, and 70 years old, that is this type jewelry, the native made jewelry. Some of that is almost non-touchable to buy it. A piece that we could make similar and sell you for $100 might bring $2,000 and $3,000 at market. And that, I think, is the uniqueness of it. Unlike diamonds, there's diamonds that are just, I think you can walk in any diamond distributors, and he's got more diamonds than they could use in 100 years. Not in this industry. One, because of all the products they use, all the shanks and so forth are mass produced in such a large amount that I believe there's an inflated price in the diamond market. They would hate for me to say that, but I think that some of these diamond stores or people that are selling that quality gem stone there's no end to it. If you order one, you could order 1,000,000 and they'd produce it. In this industry, if you order this ring, there may only be 10 in the world ever made like that. It's a number of reasons. Someone's going to have to jump up and down to get the lights. You've got to move. If you walk. Okay, let's see. I think it's on a. No, it's What happened with our electric? It's on a timer. If you're not moving, it shuts, the lights go out. So where were we? The uniqueness the uniqueness of it. So, it makes a pretty good selling point. And I've heard this so many times where someone's came to me and showed me a picture of something they've seen somewhere and said, I should have bought this, but I didn't. So can you make it for me? We can. If I've got a picture, most likely we can make it. We've got millions and millions of carats of turquoise in stock, dating back from the beginning of time when I first started this. And because we repair almost everything that we sell you, if you lose a stone, we have to have some stone to be able to match whatever you have. So it's one of the reasons we keep so much in stock. I just lost my train of thought. The light's going out got me whacked out. Ask me another question.
Yeah, well, I think you're good.
You know, I think that this is no different than any art form anywhere in the world. Whether it be going back to Van Gogh's, you can't put turquoise jewelry into that category, but you can to the point that it's a one-of-a-kind piece. And I think that's the uniqueness of it. And the next thing is the affordability. You know, when you can buy a ring for, an old friend of mine used to say, look at that beautiful diamond ring, and he'd light his Bic lighter to see it. And he'd say, now look at this one. You don't need a lighter to see this one. And there's something to be said for that. In the Southwest, the girls like to pack it on. You know, they might have one ring on every finger where you can't even see the knuckle. But on the other hand, one small 8mm stud earring, which is larger than a 1-carat diamond, is very, very nice looking on a lady. Just a simple turquoise stud earring. And the same with the bracelets. A little tiny bracelet, opposed to having the big gobbly ones, the ones that are just overwhelming. It's not for everybody, but turquoise is becoming soon a stone that's for everybody. It's known as the lucky stone. And as far as, most of the countries that buy turquoise from us, just the rough material that we sell, normally are making round beads out of it, whether it's for prayer beads, numerous things. But beads have been a big part of the industry for years, the necklaces that the natives have strung. What I have found is, as you'll see, by far nicer designs from other places in the world than the natives, because it's so primitive. They're still doing it the old way. So, I mean, we sell the rough material that I'm holding to many countries, and they then put it into their culture and their designs, which some of them are just to die for, just beautiful, unlike some of the primitive native stuff. But on the other hand, when you get a piece of Native American turquoise jewelry, the cost in retrospect to some other type jewelry is minuscule, and you don't need a lighter to see it.
It's perfect. Thank you very much.
It'll work?
Yep, it works.
Right. We'll edit if we need to add something.
And